We have started with introduction to automobile. So few of the parts what we were going to discuss, or what I can say is this much part was discussed in earlier lecture related to current scenario of auto industries and the situation related to this. Now today we'll move on with this topic related to chassis and frames, and what type of examination questions will be asked in your examination. We'll try to just discuss those. As far as your examination is concerned, still, I think it's objective type, but hoping for your subjective examination after COVID situation. So, automobile history related to what were the manufacturers in the early era and how this automobilization has started. So, starting with first automobile, starting from three-wheeler and then moved on with four-wheeler. First initial was gas buggy and then it continued to our course. With that, who were the manufacturers and what were their contributions were discussed in earlier session. But so current situation was also dealt. What was the global sale? And what was the effect of COVID-19 on the sales of different manufacturers and in different countries? So this was just a summary related to the earlier session. Now, for today's lecture, we'll be starting with the basics of what does the automobile consist of. So basically, how automobile vehicle is classified. So if we consider based on application, so we have passenger vehicles or either goods vehicles on which goods are carried. You may check the containers which are moving, or we will say different trucks, tractors. Then special purpose. In special purpose, you may consider different ambulance related to crane or movers. So based on that application, we have classification likewise. Or if we consider the load carrying capacity, so light, medium, and heavy. Most probably, we have classification simply based on light transport such as car, jeep, our regular four-wheeler cars, motorcycle, jeeps are there. Or either based on heavy transport, we have eight-wheelers, 16 containers, bus, trucks, and many more. So the goods carrier vehicles we can classify under the head of heavy transport, and whereas under light carrying capacity we can say that our regular comfort vehicles. If we move on with based on number of wheels and axles, so generally two-wheelers most probably our, maybe there are different manufacturers for two-wheelers. Bajaj is there, Honda is there. So likewise we have two-wheelers and their makes and models. Based on three-wheelers, you may observe auto rickshaws, and four-wheelers, our regular usual cars, six-wheelers, eight-wheelers, and more. So classification will be based on this. Then some sort of conceptual and actual vehicles related to cars are also available. Most probably, our thinking is that six-wheelers or eight-wheelers are generally the load-carrying containers, or we can say the vehicles. But comfort vehicles are also available with eight or six-wheelers. Based on transmission, we have. So if we consider transmission based, so conventional type, regular mechanical drives are used in it, semi-automatic and automatic. So hydraulic power or some sort of power will be used. We will discuss that power unit further. Based on that, we have classification as conventional, semi-automatic, and automatic. Obviously, based on this, cost will also vary. Then usual classification everyone knows, that is what type of fuel is used in the vehicle. So petrol, diesel, gas, and electric. So nowadays, petrol, diesel was very popular, but due to the increasing cost of that, gas vehicles has got much more importance nowadays. And our future maybe will be related with electric vehicles. So it's a short 2 or 4 marks objective asked in an examination related to classification. You can have just based on application, load carrying capacity, number of wheels, fuels used, and based on transmission system. Continuing further, we have drives of vehicles. So most probably Indian vehicles are right-hand drive, and left-hand drives or vehicles are also available. The American, and we have another drive based on front or rear wheel drive. So front wheel drive we have Maruti 800. Again rear wheel drive we have Nano, Tata Nano, Then based on all wheel drive we have Thar, the most popular utility vehicle moving on the roads. I think I'm clearly audible to all of you. So continuing further, based on sports and luxurious, or either we can classify under the head of special purpose. So vehicle which has some sort of luxurious, that is, it comes under the category of sports vehicle, maybe Lamborghini, or we have luxurious, maybe Mercedes. Again, just intentionally, I have given one example of each, or we have special types. So special purpose in the sense we have different types of earth movers or scrappers. Bulldozers are there, JCBs are there. So that type of vehicles most probably come under the category of special purpose type of mobile vehicle. Then with respect to type of a suspension system, so either individual or combined suspension system we have, but based on that we have conventional type and independent type. Conventional most probably uses leaf or spring, and independent uses coil type of leaf springs. So based on this, we may have type of classification. Another type we have type of a body system. So either we have a closed type of automobile, or we can say a car, and maximum of the cars are running on the roads with closed conditions. Since there are a number of factors for that, either next thing is you have open cars. Open cars maybe you have sunroofs, or either different sports car are there. Thar was one good example for this, and again many more. Then special type, that is estate car we call it. You may give an example such as ambassadors related to special style. Then with respect to the make, so either a car, either a heavy vehicle, either a motorcycle. So based on the make of the automobile, we classify it. So this was all about different types of classification. So for starting with the automobile engineering subject for your last year engineering, everyone should know what type of different types of automobiles are there currently in the market. So I think idea related to automobile vehicle classification is clear. Now moving towards the basic layout of an automobile. So what we can say is basic layout for any automobile. So some of the names are mentioned over here. Other than this, if anyone knows different other components, can you please post it in the chat box? Some of the components or vehicle layouts we have this some one slide is shown over here. But if you know other components, can you please just have a brainstorming on this and just post a few things are mentioned over here. That is, everyone knows the engine as a prime mover, or we say a power unit in terms of automobile engineering. We call it as a power unit, which is an engine. Maybe in electrical vehicles, we may have another power unit. Then we have a transmission system. The power generated is to be transmitted to the all wheels. So the transmission system should be there. And from transmission system, most probably try to understand a transfer case is shown over here. A detailed view of transfer case, I will show it after that. The function of transfer case is to provide the distribution of the generated power to the different types of wheels. So most probably we have a two-wheel or a four-wheel drive. So if you consider an example, a regular example of a Hyundai i10, i20, or either Maruti, Tata, or four-wheeler cars. So generally they are two-wheel drives. So transfer case is used to transfer the power to two wheels, or based on the two wheels the car or vehicle will operate. And if we have an example of a Thar, so we call it as a four-wheel drive, 4WD, or sometimes on the backside of that is it is written as 4 into 4. So what does that indicate? So transfer case will transfer the power to all the four wheels instead of only two wheels. There are number of examples, or what I can say, number of advantages for four-wheel and two-wheel drives, and most probably though there are different pros, so cons will be there. Disadvantages will be also available for pros. So basically, by observing this, important part is this one, that is, we call it as an chassis for an automobile vehicle with the two horizontal frames with transverse frame as well, which may be used for supporting. Good ladder frame. This is good one. So this we call it as a conventional type of layout for an automobile vehicle, in which we have again different drive shafts, axles, wheels, and other, that is auxiliary devices. Auxiliary devices may be related to the other components, maybe uh, headlights, tail lights, steers, and all other things. So this will be the basic components, and together it constitutes an automobile vehicle. So main component, if you consider, the wheels are there, rear and front axles are there. Axles may be classified further as live and dead. We'll continue with that. Then power unit, as I discussed, that is prime mover, maybe engine, propeller shaft, frame, transmission system, and different types of joints are there. And the brakes, clutches are there, and many more components. But out of that, four or five components are very much important, or what we can say, the name itself indicates the different main components of an automobile vehicle. So I think no one from the attendee can say that I have not seen this all components of an vehicle. That is, everyone has seen wheel of an any type of automobile. You may consider two-wheeler, four-wheeler, anything, or what we can say, a propeller shaft with some sort of a joint constructed together. Then what we can say, the different types of axles. So front axle is there, rear axle is there. Someone was talking related to the differential. Differential is present over here. We'll discuss the details of all the other components in our upcoming units or topics. With that power unit together constitutes maybe an engine, and then a transmission system. Transmission system may consist of your gearbox is there, clutch system is there, and important thing is the frame on which all the total structure, or we call it as a superstructure, is mounted. Now, before moving towards the detailed parts of different frames or either what we can say different components, vehicle specifications are very much important. So before moving to the different specifications, I want to ask one simple question. If you want to buy any of a vehicle, you may consider any two-wheeler or a four-wheeler or based on your application. So what will be your different factors while selecting the automobile? Can anyone post? There may be different types of required factors for purchasing an automobile. So according to you, what might be your factor, or on what basis you will purchase an automobile vehicle? What was your necessity? That necessity is nothing but your vehicle specifications. So what type of specifications? I want few of the answers from you. Okay, very good. Okay. The first important thing, uh, first you have to decide whether you are going to purchase two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or any special purpose vehicle. Now, if you think related to two-wheelers, so first factor you may consider it is nothing but an average. Good, Akash. And then we have another component as engine capacity. Many of you like the two-wheelers, the stylish two-wheelers, but those are with higher capacity, torque carrying capacity. Then we have Rishabh size, sitting capacity, engine cubic capacity, and mileage. Speed. Hari, according to you, is speed. Good. Weight of the vehicle. Okay. Weight is another factor which may be considered while purchasing a new automobile. I'm just taking a general name called as automobile because I'm not intentionally mentioning a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or any other special purpose. I'm talking about an automobile. I want few more answers. So automatic transmission or manual transmission? Good reason based on type of transmission, whether it's an automatic or either an very important thing related to safety ratings. Can anyone, if you have a general knowledge, can you name the four-wheeler, maybe SUV or a car, which has a good safety ratings nowadays? Good, good, very good. Next on. Everyone knows that. Tata Nexon has a very good safety ratings. So anyone if just concentrates 99% on safety, so they may go to Tata Nexon. Now, we are not dealing with the manufacturers currently. I want few answer from the others as well because regular students are answering for this. Okay, good. So different types of vehicle specifications may be a make or a model. Some of you may like a Bajaj, some of you may like Suzuki, some of you may like Honda related to two-wheelers, or if you go on with four-wheeler cars, you may go for Hyundai, Honda, or Volkswagen is there, or you may have some sort of luxurious models or makes may be related to BMW, Audi, likewise. So one simple example, intentionally I have taken one basic example related to Mahindra, that is Bolero. So there are different models of the this Bolero vehicle. So what will be the different specifications? Usually you will get all the specifications on their website browser or either if you visit any automobile manufacturer or a dealer, they will provide you before purchasing all these things. But before moving or going to the automobile for purchasing it, in your mindset might have fixed that I have to purchase a four-wheeler or a sports utility vehicle or and multi-utility vehicle. So engine will be our one factor, cubic capacity. Some of you are told the maximum power and torque carrying capacity, which is very much important if you drive uh, long distance. So based on comfort, you may consider based on the gearbox. So the name mentioned over here is synchronous type of a gearbox and overdrive. From all these specifications, I am intentionally highlighting few parts because which we will be discussing in our upcoming topics. So gearbox is nothing but one of our system in which we will be discussing synchronous and overdrive. Then we have a ground clearance. Many of you think this as an very much important. So more ground clearance, many of you are expecting. Then another important topic is suspension. So what type of different suspensions are available? So you can consider a leaf spring or either an independent coil spring. Then different types of tires, turning radius, which will depend on your chassis, which type of a vehicle will have maximum turning radius or minimum turning radius. Then the basic geometry, that is length, width, height, and wheelbase. Then what type of brake systems are there? What type of clutch system is there? Then if you go on with auxiliary devices, what we were talking about, that is under vehicle specification, it is called as an feature of a basic automobile. So what type of engine is present, what type of engine mobilizer systems are present, then what type of different type of hybrid systems, information system, clusters, layers, body graphics, caps, wheel caps. So that will come under the category of styles, wood finish is present on the dashboard or not, or either if you consider the comfort level. The comfort level is again one important thing. So for long drive or long distance traveling, many of you prefer for a comfort level. So air conditioning system, heater and demister, which consider together an air conditioning system, then type of a sitting arrangement, then what type of a rest for an arm or what we can say for sitting. Then for different convenience, we may have a steering. Most probably power assisted is present or many of you will prefer the power assisted. Then all the other things which will be then auxiliary devices. So I think basic four-wheeler classification and what we can say a specification you may. And for understanding practically, if you visit your nearby dealer related to two-wheeler, anyone, you please visit those and just collect one brochure and what type of specifications are present, you please read it. So this was all about your specifications of a vehicle. Then the different types of common words. Have you seen this? Everyone related this type of words, whether they are present on any type of an automobile. Have you seen this? ABS system related to anti-lock braking system, which will be specifically used for anti-skidding systems. And maximum of the vehicles are equipped with this type of systems, ABS. So this we can say the small abbreviations which you should know before starting with automobile engineering. So ABS system related to anti-locking braking system. What we can say, you might have seen this Swift on which backside it is written ABS. Everyone might have seen this. If not, now you can check the on-road vehicles what type of words or letters or sentence are written behind this. Then we have a brake horsepower and then CRDI. So common rail direct injection system. CRDI. Hyundai Creta, you may observe this CRDI. the name written behind this. Then we have TDI, that is turbocharged direct injection. Then we have digital twin spark. You may observe this on Bajaj two-wheelers, DTSI technology. Then we have SUV. Most probably, SUV may or may not be written on the vehicle. By just observing the automobile vehicle, you can say that whether it's an SUV or not. Or either I will show some of the photographs related to that. Then MPFI, CVTI, CI engine, DI engine, SI engines. CVTI you may have most probably on TVS manufacturers. Then we have ESC, that is electronic stability control is there, CRDE is there, common rail diesel engine is there, PDCI is there, then VATS is there, vehicle anti-theft systems are there, and alternate fuel engine control modules. So these were a few of the examples or the common words which you may observe on different types of vehicles. Some of the words may be there other than this. So what I thought to show some of the basic common words written on the vehicle or maybe present in any type of automobile vehicle. So other than this, I think you can collect words. Again, many more are there with many more technologies present. So now coming towards our important part related to chassis. So chassis can known as a carrying unit or in French word and initially used to denote the frames or the main structures of a vehicle. So most probably in olden days we have different basic chassis or the basic skeleton of an vehicle. So chassis is the important part related to an any type of an automobile vehicle. So either it may be a small vehicle or either it may be a heavy vehicle. Sometimes a total frame or a chassis constitutes a vehicle, maybe related to your small vehicles. Or heavy vehicles have different chassis and frame is different thing. To have a number of factors considering then different components which are attached to the chassis. Different components you may say it as a power unit or power plant that is related to engine and transmission system, or either we can say different types of gears, or we may say it as an gearbox. Then frames are there, suspension, steering, wheels, tires, and brakes. So all together components will be attached to the basic chassis of an automobile. You may observe, I think, on the roads, basic before delivering, some of the chassis are moving on the road. So a question related to your examination. So explain the different function of a frame or list the different types of chassis with the construction. So such type of question may be asked in your examination. If this pandemic continues, obviously we'll have an objective type, but if not, so a question most probably asked in the examination related to chassis and frames is explain the different function of a frame and list three types of chassis. So what are the different function of a frame? So most important basic function is to support the different chassis components and the body. Body may be related to the superstructure which is attached to metal sheet. So first function you may consider it as a support the chassis components and the body. Next, we can say to withstand the different static and dynamic loads. Obviously, vehicle is moving continuously. So all type of forces, stresses, loads acting on a vehicle will first directly act through tires, and those to be sustained by the chassis and frames without deflection and distortion. Please remember. So such type of photograph, I think the basic automobile constitutes together. This is a ladder type. I think someone has answered this in the chat box as well. So we may call it as a conventional type of a frame or a chassis. Then this usually as an integral chassis component, or we can say a monofew type of a frame. Now, what we were talking about, what type of different loads which are acting on a vehicle. So first you can say that the weight of the vehicle, the weight may constitute together with all components and what the different occupants when we will be sitting in this. So this together constitutes the vertical bending of the frame or chassis. Then vertical loads while coming across the bumps or a hollow, or we can say speed breakers are there, or some of the pits are present on the roads that will constitute what type of load, that is longitudinal torsion. So based on either bending or based on either torsion, or either we have lateral bending which may come due to the side camber or due to the side thrust or wind cornering forces. Side camber usually comes from the taper of a road, or either if we are moving on a taper roads. So lateral bending may be there in the chassis. So such type of again lateral bending will be occurring in the chassis when we have an engine torque and braking system. The bending of side members may take place because when you accelerate a vehicle, the maximum load will be transferred towards the back side of a chassis or the overhang, rear overhang we call it, or either we have a braking from a high speed to lower speed. That time the front side of an overhang of chassis will be loaded. So bending may take place either in the different side members. Then we have a sudden impact whenever collapsing takes place. So due to this sudden impact, the load may be there. So all these types of loads, or we say factors, are to be considered while designing the chassis and frames. So please remember the different basic types of loads acting. That is vertical bending will take place due to load, longitudinal torsional is there, lateral bending is there, and we have bending of different side members. Now, usually first was related to your conventional type, then we have a semi-forward or fully forward type of an engine. The conventional type of an automobile vehicle in which we may call as your engine is totally present ahead of the vehicle, or in semi-forward type we have half of the engine mounted below the driver's seat. And when we go on with the classification related to the fully forward, so total engine will be mounted below the sitting area. What happens usually, there are different types of blind spots created. So in conventional type, if we have an engine totally in front of a vehicle, you may say different dumpers which are load carrying. So its engine is loaded in totally in front. Maybe there are a number of factors, but the space present above engine location, so that will be wasted totally. This component or this space will be wasted. So there was some modification, and semi-forward engines, or we say semi-forward type of a automobile was tried, and half of the engine component was placed just below the sitting area. But further modification has created a total engine mounted above or below the seating arrangement. The total space was utilized. Due to that, what happened? The backspace which was present behind this was increased. So what we can say is, for different containers, you can observe the total engine is mounted below the seating arrangement. So if we don't require the maximum space over here, so for that either a semi-forward or a conventional type of automobile vehicle will be preferred. So fully forwarded vehicle most probably is preferred for heavy duty vehicles. So this is one example of a fully forward we can say. And there are again few more examples. Now we have a ladder frame, first conventional chassis frame. So related to this, a question based on function of a frame in chassis construction. Similar will be asked in the examination. So conventional type in which a ladder is nothing but it seems like a steps. So ladder type of frame will together constitutes two vertical angles we will call it or a frame, and a transverse type of frame will be attached, maybe bolted over here or either it will be welded or most probably it's riveted. So ladder type of frame most probably offers a good beam resistance because of its continuous wheel from front to rear. The continuous reeling provides the maximum beam resistance while traveling. But important is poor torsion we get in this type of a ladder frames. So that's why these frames were further modified, maybe in the tubular form. So conventional frame constitutes maybe with a straight frame or either the small deviation or tapering will be provided in front of the ladder. Why? Because to have the turning radius, feasibility for a turning. So this is the case of a ladder or we say as a conventional type, so in which what we were talking about is nothing but fully engine will be mounted and over here, and this is an example of a ladder type. Uh, Anyone can please provide me the manufacturer name for this? Any one example? So this is a straight line ladder, and we may have a transverse frames as well to connect all the components. So different components, what we will say is nothing but the differential is present over here, the transmission system is there from the power unit, and propeller shafts will be connected, and then it will be connected to the live and dead axle, and through that it will be connected to the wheels. Okay, good. Manufacturers most probably may be related to Ashok Leyland or either Tata Motors, or we may have different manufacturers of this. Engine mounted in front. Now again, in relation with the total frames or ladder frame, we have a subframe which is mounted to a vehicle. Most probably this type of subframes are attached to the vehicle to have the feasibility of attaching the coil type of suspension systems and connect all the live and dead axles to this. So these subframes are most probably provided. So chassis frame may be constituted together with a subframe. Then every time there will not be a ladder type of constitution of a chassis or a frame, but in which we may have a frameless type of a construction. In frameless type, what we can say is maximum of the total frame, starting with the mounting of the power units and all other components, will together constitute this. So maximum 80 to 90% of the automobile cars are generally the frameless cars. But there is one disadvantage of this. The repairing of the frames by if we had an made an accident with this type of a structure, repairing is not possible. So generally, we go for small cars with this type of a structure, that is frameless type of a structure in which we have integrated superstructure or integrated body, we call it. So same thing is mentioned over here. So different heavy structure, what will have an advantage of reduction in the weight of that. So this total frameless, so subframes may be attached to this as well. So practical view of an frameless construction, you can observe this. So together all cross members, bodies, floors are together welded or riveted to this. And this type of construction has good strength, we call it, or either we may have good rigidity for this. Another very much important and popular type of a structure is a monopule structure, which is a total one-piece structure. We call it as an one-piece structure, most popular structure, and maximum of the automobile vehicles constitutes this monopule. We may go for metal monopule, aluminum monopule, or either carbon fiber monopule. It depends. The sports cars may relate it with carbon fiber, so that will be related to the different materials. So this together frame, which will have different ladders, tubular structures, backbones provided, and all other components either will be welded or we can say the spot welded. So this structure is very much popular related to the different luxurious models. So though, as I told you, related to frameless or monopule, the repairing is very much important to relate to this case, or it has another disadvantage related to the complex design. Manufacturing, most probably, it is a robotic manufacturing. So complex design, and again, such type of models cannot be manufactured for a small scale production. Most probably, it's a mass production or maximum lot production is to be carried out for monopole type of a production. But obviously, it has maximum advantages, that is space efficiency, then JC benefits, that is reproduction of the crashing production because it uses a lot of metal. Then we have cheaper manufacturing in mass production. So if you go on with basic comparison, so ladder type most probably for heavy duty vehicles and monopule with related to different cars. So if you consider different factors of performance, design and materials, so monopule is very much lighter in design, which adds to the advantage of fuel efficiency. All of you please remember it has some sort of advantage related to lighter in design. Then we have more torsional stiffness because torsional stiffness was not present in the ladder type of design. So for a better chassis performance and orientation, torsional stiffness is very good. Then heavy nature of ladder obviously has make it tougher in design compared to the monocule type. That's why heavy duty vehicle constitutes the separate chassis frames. Then related to design, a unibody's body shell is difficult to design, build and modify when compared to the other body types of frames. So that's why the maximum mass production is required for monocule type of a model. Then related to materials, so different steel materials were probably used, but nowadays carbon fiber types of combinations with different aluminum alloys are preferred for chemical manufacturing. Why? Because the important thing is the weight and cost reduction. So this is the basic comparison. So I think instead of moving towards another types of loads acting on factors on that we will continue in our next lecture. So just to summarize for today's lecture, we have just discussed starting with the basic layout of an automobile, classification, different components, what are the different specifications, how the different words or names are used, then the different chassis frames and the automobile classifications. So, so that's all for today's lecture. So in our upcoming lecture, we'll observe the different types of vehicles and the classification. Now lecture is open for discussion or either for questionnaire. If you have any question, you can ask. If you have any doubt related to lecture, you can continue. Or if you have a new thinking, because an automobile subject is related to discussion. And please remember one thing, the subject relates with the basic components starting from all the names which we discussed in our first four or three slides. That is the different power units, the different transmission systems, and the auxiliary devices and different equipments. So our concentration will be starting from the basic components, and then we'll go on with important or special purpose type of components which are to be present in an automobile vehicle. So if you have any doubt, you can ask, or if you have any idea related to what we discussed for today, you can just share it in the chat box so I can share it with all others. Question related to monoque type of a chassis. Monoque type of a chassis constitutes related to manufacturing a different complexity of a frame. So all different frame together constitutes a monocoque chassis, which does not has a ladder type of a chassis. So directly a superstructure. Superstructure in the sense what I will say is the different covering of an automobile vehicle or metal body structure. So it has its all types of frames and with the chassis. So that's why monocoque type of and frame is most probably preferred. And what happens usually when you go with the ladder type, it should the maximum type of loads and the components which will be attached to the ladder type itself. So the maximum load and stresses will be acting on the ladder itself. So intentionally that ladder is to be prepared or manufactured with a huge load carrying capacity. So its thickness and size increases. So due to that, the weight of the vehicle also increases. So that's why this ladder nowadays is preferred only for heavy duty vehicles. And the first advantage of this, that is performance related to weight. So lighter frames can be manufactured. So if you go on with the Audi manufacturer, they prefer for aluminum type of a frame. Okay, thank you all. Thank you for your patience listening.